Marshal Prashant Bharadwaj, DGMS Air and President of the Indian Society of Aerospace Medicine, Marshal Chandrasekhar, Shashwat Training Command, PMOs of all commands, past presidents of the society, aerospace medicine veterans, senior members of the society, senior dignitaries from DRDO, ISRO, aviation industry, delegates from friendly foreign countries, all those who are logged in for the online session, conference delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to all of you. As the society's chief patron, it gives me immense pleasure to be amongst you on this glorious occasion of the Diamond Jubilee Conference. The members of the society have always strived to provide comprehensive aeromedical solutions to the challenges faced by the unique and rapidly expanding Indian aerospace domain. From the early days of the first supersonic fighters in the 60s to the highly maneuverable platforms of the 80s, from long duration flying challenges to those of night vision goggles on helicopters, the community has worked tirelessly to establish suitably modified selection, training and medical evaluation processes. I am aware that the Indian Society of Aerospace Medicine has supported excellent scientific aeromedical research to keep the pilot and machine in fine fettle. Over the years, the society has also established a respectable presence in the international aerospace medicine community. The aviation medicine specialists have played a prominent role in addressing complex man-machine integration issues, a role that will become more important as we further progress among the Atmanirbhar drive of the nation. Today, we stand at the threshold of a technological explosion that will have a disruptive effect on the way future wars are fought. These technologies will encompass conventional kinetic means merged with non-kinetic, non-lethal means spread across the cyber, information and space domains. This rapid infusion of technology throws up new challenges. The foremost challenge is to prepare the human mind to rapidly and comprehensively adapt to these technologies. A simultaneous challenge is to identify the new emerging physical and mental stressors associated with the use of this new technology. Finally, the integration of aeromedical paradigms towards optimizing human performance in this uncharted environment will need to be looked into. Let me highlight some examples in the aeromedical domain to elucidate what I mean. The era of conventional air combat in the form of dogfights is fast receding with the introduction of long-range, beyond visual range weapons. Sustained high-G maneuvering is likely to reduce, but significant use of the mental faculties to develop a very high level of situational awareness will increase. Would this change the need for extensive high-G training and replace it with more intensive training in the mental information processing? How would network-centric air operations change the conventional cognitive and decision-making tasks of aircrew in the cockpit? Domain awareness and remote decision-making training would need to be the focus to address the needs of remotely piloted air operations. Continuous and sustained air operations would need further optimization of human performance. Aeromedical experts must study and provide solutions to address these needs. It is my firm belief that as more technological sophistication occurs in air operations, more would be the need to train the minds of human operators. Technological advances will also bring in more operators such as fighter controllers, air defense weapon operators and mission planners in the operational loop. Performance optimization of these operators also needs to be looked into. Introduction of automation in the past has taught us that technology can be a double-edged weapon. It reduces human workload on one hand, but can potentially introduce more errors. The recent accidents of the Boeing 737 MAX aircraft have amply proved this point. Hence, with automation and newer technology, the role of human beings in air operations may reduce in certain areas, but will also increase the importance of hitherto unknown human factors. I am sure the aerospace medicine experts of this society are keeping abreast with these changes and are working towards identifying and addressing potential areas through quick problem-solving research and by developing newer aircrew training protocols. The increased operational deployments in the hostile high-altitude environment for prolonged periods of more than a year and a half now have brought out the need to select fit personnel for deployment and the need to ensure their physical fitness by protection from the hostile environment. We have achieved this well due to sustained medical support provided by this fraternity. However, I am sure there is much more that can be done to further enhance the human capability to operate in these hostile conditions. As experts in understanding the human mind, aeromedical specialists need to understand the monumental effects of changes occurring in our society. These changes have the potential to significantly affect the performance of air warriors. The world, our country, and consequently the aviation community has rapidly transformed from an industrial age society to the information age society and further to a social media influenced society. Long hours spent on social media platforms not only affect sleep but also affect information processing. I have been told that IIM has already embarked on cutting-edge research towards spot diagnosing sleep deprivation in aircrew. I am pleased to note that the talks by experts in this field have been organized in this conference too. Aeromedical operational training has been conducted at IIM in the form of well-conceived OPRAM courses for almost 13 years now. New generation aeromedical simulators have been extensively and effectively used for this training. This training has proved useful not only for preventing accidents but also increasing the operational capability of the aircrew. However, as I mentioned before, the operational imperatives are changing and we must constantly review the training content and methods to address these changing operational scenarios. I am sure the learned members of the society and this institute would not accept status quo and will review what needs to be changed and how it will be done in the future. Medical and physical fitness of aircrew is another focus area that has to be constantly addressed by the ISAM. This necessity of reducing downtime of a pilot cannot be overemphasized. The aeromedical decision-making professional must continuously analyze and leverage evolving medical knowledge to evolve suitable medical disposal policies. I am pleased to note that in 2020, new medical disposal policies have been introduced that move towards the same. I have also perused the well-researched comprehensive booklet on physical fitness prepared by this institute with inputs from sports medicine experts and physiologists. The booklet prescribes easy to practice fitness routines for aviators, and I not only urge, I insist that all aviators follow them earnestly in all the squadrons. In the near future, another era of increased aeromedical contribution would be in indigenous design and development of aircraft. As I mentioned earlier, Atmanirbharta in design and development of aircraft is key to ensuring a qualitative combat edge in future wars. The contribution of aeromedical specialists in man-machine interface development is now well established in the LCA, the LUH, the LCH and the HCT-40 programs. Design and development activities of the LCA Mark II and AMCA programs would now need an exponential increase in contribution by the medical fraternity. Development of indigenous flying clothing also needs to be increased, and this should be a continuous focus. At Air Headquarters, we have completely reposed faith in IAM through the DGMS Air towards successful conduct of Gaganyaan, which is the Indian Manned Space Program. IAM has assumed complete responsibility for preparing the first Indian astronauts to enter the arena of space from our own soil. I have reviewed the progress done by IIM in their selection, training, medical evaluation and design development of various human-centric products. I am pleased with the efforts and progress. As a reflection of these activities, the conference theme of this year, Atmosphere and Beyond, is very appropriate. However, there is a long way to go till the actual manned mission takes place, and IIM will have to constantly stay focused and involved in the completion of the task. In lighter vein, the only way a pilot can become a doctor if he or she studies to get a PhD, and that way it's quite hard and rare. Today we are giving opportunities for doctors to become pilots. The chances are definitely improving as the day go by. The file which has been pending for long with the MOD hopefully should see the light of the day. The pilot physician program should get approved in a short time. The aim of this program is to enable a doctor to express both tactically and mechanically as a pilot and medically as a physician. Once cleared by the MOD, the onus will be on all of us to make the program a reality, and therefore there is a need to give it the required impetus right from the beginning. I would like to take this opportunity to extend a warm welcome to the distinguished guests invited by the Society for delivering today's prestigious JHF Manekshaw panel talk. I am keen to listen to Dr. A.K. Ghosh, Project Director AMCA on the aeromedical concerns, and to Dr. Pratima Murthy, Director of NIMHANS on prevention of ill effects of social media on human performance. I am given to understand that Dr. Quay Snyder, President, Aviation Medicine Advisory Service, himself a pilot physician, and Mr. Steve Roberts, an ejection systems expert of Martin Baker Company, would also be delivering their talks online tomorrow. I also extend warm greetings to them. All aeromedical professionals of the Indian Society of Aerospace Medicine to rededicate themselves to the cause of aerospace safety, performance optimization and operational preparedness. I wish the Society and all its members, past and present, all the very best, greetings of the season, and continue doing well as you have been doing over the years. Thank you and Jai Hind.